Just takes a few moments to start up, and then it should tell us, shouldn't it? Oh, yeah. There we go.
Okay. So
welcome, everybody.
Meditate?
Benefits of meditating. Go on, you go.
Do you meditate, Patricia, often, or?
I do meditate, not consistently, but I know that when I do meditate, it feels really good. I tend to, I guess my meditation time is when I go for my walks on the beach, because I'm out there for a couple hours and just walking, and it's just blissful. I don't even know how to describe it. So I think that's, for me, that's kind of like my meditation, aside from the monkey. When I try to sit down and meditate, when, you know, he's sitting there and just trying to be quiet and not letting the body move, and then the monkey chatter goes, and then it's like, oh my God, it's like, okay, shut up in there.
It is, that sort of meditating is practice.
Yes.
It is practice.
And
but, I mean,
just with that, with myself.
But I think, I mean, Hilary, your meditation is on your bike, isn't it?
Mostly, yeah. I do meditate a little bit, but again, I'm not a bit like Patricia. I'm not consistent with it, just, you know, sitting and doing it. But definitely I'm in the zone on my bike, because I'm just, yeah, it just feels so good, and there is nothing else, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I think however you choose to meditate, just quietening the mind, it is so good for your mental health. It really is so good for your mental and your physical health, because it is known to sort of lower the blood pressure. It takes the body out of that constant fight or flight and puts it into rest and digest, which it needs to be more. We're out of balance because we're more in fight or flight and less in rest or digest. Actually, it should be the other way around. And so it does help the body physiologically to just settle, you know. And so for your mental and physical health, however you do it, and it is that sense of not of quietening the monkey mind that tends to put you in fight or flight nowadays, because there aren't many saber-toothed tigers roaming around preparing to eat us. But however you do it, it is just so important. And for manifesting and that sort of thing, it is how you can speak to your higher self and really understand kind of what's going on, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I meditate 15 minutes every day.
Nice.
And that's, I just do 15 minutes. I used to do guided meditations, but I've got to the point now where I can sort of do it without that help, if you like. I can do my own visualization, slow down and everything. And I sort of sit there and I sort of set the timer for 15 minutes. And I don't know why I think it's still, every time I think, I won't be able to do it 15 minutes. And then when the alarm goes off, oh no, I don't want to finish just yet. I'm enjoying this too much. Sometimes just ignore it. Just keep going for a bit longer.
What time of day do you do it, Anita? What time of day do you? Morning.
Yeah, if I'm going out, if I'm out of the house for work, then I will actually get up earlier. We were talking about before. I will get up earlier to do it, to make sure I do it. Otherwise, I do it when I get home from the school run. There's nobody else. You know, the dogs are quite quiet because they've been out and done their thing. And so I can just relax, and then I do it before then I start work. And I feel much more alert and everything. And I think, right, yes, I know what I want to achieve and everything. So this morning when I meditated, there was, you know, some thoughts that cropped up in my head, and I thought, right, okay, so today I need to sort these things out and do these things, because there were sort of messages and lessons and all sorts of things that I kind of, because I do tune in to my higher self. And sometimes I might have a specific question and I ask the specific question before I start meditating. And other times I just say, whatever you want to tell me. And I just enjoy the experience of having that connection and feeling that connection. So,
Nice.
and I do things to like check in with my chakras and all that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a very, very, very pleasant experience that sets me up for the day. And I do also, because I do sometimes struggle with sleeping. And so what I've started to do is listen to sort of meditation music at night. And that I'm not actually meditating, because I'm not asking any questions, I'm not doing anything, I'm just as part of that relaxation. And I find I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh my God, you know, some imagined terror that I must, you know, sort out. Or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that, or I haven't done something else. And that doesn't happen if I listen to the meditative music.
Great. And my husband does that actually. He meditates as he's falling asleep.
My husband does now, he just doesn't realise. He said, I woke up in the night, I'm sure I heard music. I said, really? So you must be hearing things. Not that he isn't on board, because actually, it's funny, I don't really talk to him about. He knows about my meditation, he knows about some of the things I do, but we don't sit down and have like a really in-depth conversation.
Right.
My husband is very much of a man's man, you know, and he does like manly things and all that kind of stuff. And then over the weekend, he said something about feng shui and all that sort of thing.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. And he said, you know, I do sort of listen in a little bit on your calls.
Oh, he's stalking.
And he said, yeah, he said, I get it. I get what you're saying. He said, I understand sort of what you're saying and what you're doing and all that sort of thing. And he said, it's funny, isn't it? And he said, you're talking about manifesting and everything. But surely the best manifestor you've ever met is Henry, our son. But literally driving to school one time, it's raining. I don't want it to rain anymore. I want it to be sunny by this afternoon. I'm praying to God. There you go. It was sunny. You know, but he meditates as well. Because they encourage it in school for that mental health.
Yeah.
And he loves it. I think it's a really
the children do.
Children, yeah, really important thing. They have like a meditation corner in the playground. And I think the earlier you are when you start doing, the younger you are when you start doing this, the more it just becomes part of your routine and part of your habit.
Well, they're
Dalai Lama.
The children are close to that energy because they're close to it because they haven't been here that long yet. So they could probably get into it more and actually teach us how to be more connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a quote from the Dalai Lama that says if every person on the planet was taught to meditate by the age of 8, there would be no war.
Right.
And I remember telling the class that I was teaching this, and they were 8 and 9, and one little girl came to me. She said, "Well, you said that what the Dalai Lama says." Well, it's a good job because I'm only 8, so I've done it, and there's not going to be any war. Oh God, it's adorable.
Oh, that's lovely.
That is. Well, it's definitely time for humans to evolve from all of that type of thinking, for sure. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's, and I think there's more people out there like us that feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think there are. I think it's because in that meditation, whether you're doing it when you're walking, whether you're doing it when you're cycling, or whether you're sitting, I mean, when I'm walking and everything, it is that connection with nature.
Mhm.
And you're sort of connecting in with the like you, Hilary, and the koalas when you were out walking, and the kangaroos and everything. And
That was beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. You know, and when you hear the bird song, and I think what got my husband into it was that the baby rabbits are in the garden, the wild rabbits and everything. And he said, I've just been watching them playing. He said, that's 10 minutes. He said, I've stood there. He said, just watching them playing. He said, I just got lost in it. And I said, that is meditation.
Yeah.
He said, I was thinking of nothing else. He said, I was just watching these baby rabbits chase each other all over the lawn.
How cute.
They were so funny. You know, you could see they were playing and everything. And but it is that sense of connection, isn't it, to something other than just yourself.
Yes.
And I think we are, that lack of connection, I think, is what is destroying the planet.
100%.
All the tension and upset. And it's also leading to the epidemic of mental health issues and depression and loneliness and everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, we create that mental illness and that brain disconnect. We were all creating that for ourselves. And if we all meditated and got connected with what we have inside and what's been given to us, there wouldn't be that disconnect. You wouldn't have that. I don't think mental illness would even exist. But people were shut down. The world shut down because the world said we had to. The governments and the leaders of the world said we had to shut down, and we had to be alone and we had to be separated. But nobody knew how to do that because we never had to do that before. We didn't know how to be alone and how to be connected to happiness and from ourselves.
I think, it does predate the pandemic, because I know there's some work that I've done, the epidemic of loneliness is social media generated, because people think they're connecting, but they're not.
No, they're not.
And it is physiologically, the impact of loneliness is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day, every day.
I believe
that is the physiological impact, because the mind-body connection is such that if the mind is screaming out, the body reacts. It goes through the vagus nerve, and so that the epidemic, what the pandemic did was brought it more to people's attention and dragged more people into this kind of epidemic than before. But it was going on, but people didn't really talk about it. And we have this cult of the individual now, where we're right and everybody else is wrong. And this lack of connection and everything. And this
Abraham Hicks often say you'd rather be right than wrong than happy.
Yeah. This anger that's around. The world seems so angry.
And I don't understand that. Yeah. It's just like swallowing poison if I'm angry, it's not, if I was angry at, say, Hillary, and I was like intensely angry with her, I mean, and if she didn't know, then she wouldn't know that I was angry. And the only person or being I'm hurting is myself. Because I think Sadhguru said it's like drinking poison, expecting somebody else to die.
He does, Sadhguru does say that. I love listening to him.
So do I. Love him.
Love his voice, everything he says. Because he's got a real kind of sense of humor as well, hasn't he, that really shines through. So I do love listening to him. But he does say exactly that anger is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. Whereas I think when you bring sort of through meditation and everything, and you bring all of that down, you bring your blood pressure down, you bring your cortisol levels down, you bring all of those physiological things that you reduce them. That mind-body connection is such that, so if the mind starts to quieten down, the body starts to quieten down, and you start to connect with your higher self, which is connected to the universe, and suddenly you do see things very, very, very differently. I mean, the other day I was driving home and I just looked out the window, and flying alongside me in broad daylight was a white owl.
Oh, wow.
And it flew alongside me for about 2 minutes, just kept pace with me. I mean, I did slow down to look at it, because it's just, I've never seen an owl in broad daylight in the wild. You hear them all the time here, but don't, because it's nighttime, don't see them. And it just glided alongside me, and I felt so connected to it. Nice. Such a sense of connection to this beautiful, beautiful owl. And then we sort of hit a wooded area, and he just flew up into the trees and everything. But I just thought, I thought in that moment there was such a powerful connection, and it's just wonderful. It's just, and my son was in the car as well, and it's probably the one time he was silent. And he just said that was just amazing. He said, I can't describe how I feel.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is. Wow.
And
awesome.
I just felt it felt to me that there was some significance to it. But it was just, and I think if you're not in tune with yourself and with your community and nature, I would have missed that. I wouldn't have seen it.
Probably not.
And you think, how many people miss out on so many things because they're so hit up and caught up in their monkey mind.
Yeah. Yes.
Such a shame.
And often animals do gravitate, if you're in alignment, if an animal comes near you, you're pretty much aligned. Children as well.
Yes. Yeah, because they just feel it, they just get it, they just know it. And unfortunately society kind of beats it out of us. When I was walking on the beach, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I was walking on the beach and the tide was way, way out, and it was so beautiful. And there was a big, beautiful sandbar that was visible. So I went and walked on it, and I was watching the seagulls. They're all pecking at the rocks because they know now that there's little creatures exposed and there's little clams that are exposed. And I just kind of stood there, and my presence didn't seem to bother them, and they were going ahead and picking these clams off the rocks. They would go up in the air and then drop it on a rock to break it open. It was amazing. I was just blown away by the intelligence of.
Wow.
They were just, I couldn't believe it. They would go up high enough, forcefully kind of drop it. You can almost see like with their feet, they're just like throwing it down on this rock. I was like, did I just see that? It's like, what? I had no idea. I had no idea. And they were just having a heyday because all these new clams were exposed because the tide was out. And I was like, wow, that was impressive. I was impressed. I was like, holy snap. These big birds.
What is amazing is when you look at them and they know when to come. And there's like this collective consciousness. Because they are so, obviously animals and birds and everything, all they are is vibration and energy, that's it. And they feel it, and all they are is connected. And I remember when there was the Boxing Day tsunami, and there was an island of people who'd never really embraced the modern world, and they were, you know, still lived in a tribal fashion from hundreds, thousands of years ago, maybe. And they were worried that they had all died and perished in the tsunami, but they couldn't get to them because of the Boxing Day tsunami in the Far East, so
Thailand,
Philippines, Indonesia, where you had it was about 10, maybe 20 years ago.
No, more than that, 15 years, 15 more plus years ago. It was a long time ago, but it was, they lost about 250,000 people.
Yeah, it was like
there's that film about it, The Impossible.
I've seen that.
It's a 10 scale Richter. It actually moved the earth on its axis. It was such a powerful earthquake. It was 10 on the Richter scale, or 9.9, something like that, you know, absolutely off the charts, how explosive it was. But they couldn't reach these people on this island. So they flew over it with a helicopter, and they were shocked to find that they were all alive, and they were firing bows and arrows at the helicopter because they didn't want to be and what it was, they and the animals were so connected. The animals sensed the earthquake and moved to higher ground, and the people followed them because they knew if the animals were moving to higher ground, there was a reason.
Yeah,
they may have sensed it as well, though. Because they're much more in tune with what's going on. They may well have sensed it themselves. And you know, I find it interesting that people have to. Society thinks that they've got to go and check that they're alive, and actually they're fine.
Because these are primitive people. And you think
they're
They're not
far more advanced than we are.
Well, nobody else knew to do that, and that's how 250,000 people were lost.
Wow.
Yep.
No, because nobody else did it. Just these primitive people who are completely connected to nature, energy, and vibration, and they all survived.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, the sense that, you know, the wind farms and everything. Birds learn to avoid them. And so that's how, you know, we still have birds in the sky around wind farms. How do they do that? There's a collective consciousness that has that vibration and that energy. And we are, you know, as humans, we have become so removed from it.
Yes.
We have. And like, so when animals die, they often just go off on their own and just go and die.
Yeah.
Well, whereas we make a big deal about it, try and stop it, and actually it's all good. It's all part of the process. It's like,
as my son says, nobody ever dies. You just return to energy.
Yeah.
He told me that when he was 6.
Wow.
Driving along in the car, and I was like, okay. You know, you don't have to worry, because you never die, just your body, but your soul just returns to energy.
Wow. That's impressive.
When we dream or when we're sleeping, our energy leaves our body and we go travel about. I don't know much about it. Kind of like astro travel, I guess. I've never experienced it, or I don't remember ever experiencing anything like that.
I had the weirdest dream the other night, absolutely the weirdest dream. And I was driving to a meeting the other day, and the theme of this dream was basically, where did I really want to live? You
I
know,
like that.
and it's something that I've been sort of mulling over my head lots and lots. And I was driving to this meeting, and it wasn't exactly my dream, but I was driving along and I thought, this is it.
And
This
where
is
are
it
you?
is. I live in Suffolk, in east of England. So
Okay.
this is just another part of Suffolk. And I just thought, it's not that it looks exactly like my dream. It's the feeling that I got. It was amazing. You have to go, don't you, for your mastermind?
Yes, we do. Hey, Rosa, are you
Hi,
okay?
Rosa.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, ladies. Yeah, I just
No, don't worry.
Just jumped in today. I'll join you on the other side with the mastermind.
All right. Okay,
Okay.
lovely.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See you in a bit.
Bye, everybody.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.
I
Bye.
won't see you. Sorry. See you later.